Yeah, we'll just watch the video. Like I'm so addicted to his videos, man.
MMOs. And I find most MMOs, and I find this baffling. How does it even work? Most MMOs have a very straightforward, simple, everyone knows how it works.
Like not 50%, but like 25% of the quality of his content is his body language. I love actually watching his videos. Like he's a good podcast, but man, is he just nice to watch.
Questing system. You get a quest to kill 10 of something, you kill the 10 of something, you come back, you hand in the quest, and then either a story unfolds or you get another quest to kill 10 of another thing. This is sort of standard. This is the bog standard way of questing. If you told me before I played Final Fantasy that there is a game that approaches their quests very differently, and when I say very differently, I mean they have so many, let's call them fetch quests, even though they're not fetch quests, or we could call them diplomatic quests. So quests that literally send you from one area to the next just to go talk to another NPC for the story to unfold a little bit more. If you told me that there's a game that's gonna try that, I would have told you, even 7 months ago, I would have told you you're crazy. It can't work.
I think FF as a game is has gambled a lot and has put a lot of hopes into people liking storytelling. Mostly, I'm not gonna say that MMO players don't like stories. Of course they do. But what I'm saying is that, like, for someone who wants to play the MMO at its end game, participate in, raids or PvP or, dungeons or any kind of high-end content and such, there's an amount of impatience that you feel when you start the game because you do want to do all these things. They gambled a lot with the amount of story, with the amount of quests to read, so that if you don't read them, like if you just skim through them, you're not going to feel any further attachment to the game when the new bits and pieces of story come up. It's a huge time investment, and they had to say to themselves, this is our game. Our game is full of story. Whoever doesn't like it is not gonna play it. Yes, it is a Final Fantasy game. I get that, and I get that it fits the brand. But for new people like myself who have entered, the world of Final Fantasy without any previous knowledge and awareness that is on brand, I wouldn't have, I came from World of Warcraft, and that's my only comparison. My comparisons aren't other Final Fantasy game. My only reference is WoW. So in WoW, things are very, very different. And when you start leveling a character in WoW, you really want to do endgame with that character. You don't just go around and quest throughout different areas to find out what happens next. I tried that as streaming content. I tried that as, relaxing content. None of it worked. Not in streaming, and definitely not in it didn't help me feel better in any way when I just wanted to log into the game and just quest to kind of feel better or whatever.
MMO players wouldn't rotate towards games like that. It wouldn't work, because MMO players like what they like. They like that sort of, they know how the quest works, they understand how the questing system works, and they're gonna do it. It's gonna be mindless. It's gonna be its own sort of little bit of fun, if you will. Final Fantasy, Yoshi P goes and says, screw that. I don't want to tell stories like that. It does it, and then it works. And the only reason it works is because the story is next level. If you ever wanted proof of the quality of Final Fantasy story, look at the amount of people that complete the game, that go all the way to max level with the game. Because from a pure quest design perspective, Final Fantasy does everything that MMOs are not supposed to do. Back in the day, 2 years ago, I made videos sort of discussing some of the potential WoW killers. This was before I even paid attention to Final Fantasy. I was just discussing the potential WoW killers that could be out there. And I said, the perfect WoW killer will be a game that doesn't reinvent the wheel. It'll be a game that basically copies World of Warcraft in every single way, shape, and form, but doesn't copy the mistakes.
I think I saw that video.
So it improves upon the places that World of Warcraft is weakest at, and yet builds on the places that World of Warcraft is strongest at. That will be the game that kills World of Warcraft. And now I stand corrected. Final Fantasy does almost nothing that WoW does. And before people go, wow, it's just a WoW clone, it really isn't. Yes, it borrowed raiding from World of Warcraft, but changed it fundamentally. It made a fundamental change in terms of how raiding works, how partying works. It takes social interaction to a whole new level. It actually banks on the casual player to carry the game, which is risky. Vast majority of MMOs don't do that. They either go full hardcore or they go hybrid. But Final Fantasy, and I'm not saying that Final Fantasy doesn't cater to their hardcore audience. Quite the contrary. They do cater to their entire
they cater to everyone.
Audience. But I mean, compare the things that they put in the game for the casual player versus the things that they put in the game for the extreme ultimate sort of top of the food chain player. And there's no comparison. There's far more casual content. What's interesting is they managed to convince the hardcore player to also partake in the casual content without forcing them in any way, shape, or form.
I think glamour is kind of what ties it in, cause you know you're going into a raid, you want to look nice, and yes, raids have the weapons, raids have some of the glam pieces and stuff, but if you want to look good on those FC screenshots once you kill the boss, you want the shinies, and the shinies are, you know, in Gold Tosser.
How the fuck do you do that? Most games struggle to do that. Most games do not get to do that. They don't get
the reason for that is because they give the player enough time to participate in the casual content. In WoW, if you're not participating in if you're participating in the high-end content, like in raiding and stuff, you don't have the time to go around mount farming. Like, I got so shamed by my WoW guild leader, which is like the equivalent to FC. He used to publicly make fun of me during our raids for AFKing in different areas of the world, waiting for a rare spawn for a chance for a mount. He was also aware that during that time I was also working, and that was my second screen activity, that I would kill the rare when I would see it. However, he also found it convenient to say that I'm spending more time doing casual content than doing what I'm supposed to do in game to progress in the raid. That was the attitude. Welcome to WoW.
A hardcore player to take time out of their busy raiding day to go fuck about in the Golden Saucer. Yoshi P just for some reason understood the fundamental truth about MMOs, and that is, if you build it, they will come. Like that to me is the fundamental truth.
Like, do you not think that the high-end raiders are gonna, you know, spend some time in island sanctuaries? Of course they are.
If you build it and you build enough of it, they will come. And that's it. You just need to have it there. People will find their place. As it turns out, it's not true that hardcore players only want hardcore content. Final Fantasy stands as blinding truth to that fact. I've met quite a few hardcore raiders, so people who raid extreme stuff, who in their downtime do housing or glamming or golden saucering. They just do other things because the game is fun and the game offers them so many options that after they've done their extreme raids or trials, now it's time to go do the more fun stuff because there's a shit ton of things to do there.
Okay, a small correction in my opinion. It's all fun. It's just a different kind of fun. the fun that requires you to brain a lot, and then the fun that requires you to not brain a lot. But let's just agree that they're all fun in their own way.
Before the next raid will open up that you can then go play again. It truly is the complete MMO. If you think about it, Final Fantasy appears to be the complete MMO. It appears to have very few weaknesses from what I can tell. There are weaknesses like PvP. Being
Glam dresser!
pretty bad
Fix it!
is a clear weakness, and I think if Squeenix actually put a lot of effort into PvP, they would stand a real chance of taking down every other MMO. Because
No, a relationship between a player and an MMO is like a relationship with two people. This is not the case, of course, for everyone. Sometimes people will go for like different people, or in this case, different MMOs. But most of the time, what breaks the relationship between a player and an MMO isn't another MMO, but that MMO that they're playing instead. Luckily for Final Fantasy, WoW has been pretty good at breaking those relationships.
Right now, that's sort of the only thing I see in the realm of the MMO space where the vast majority of people sort of kick against Final Fantasy. It is the PvP stuff. They don't like it. Now, my problem, and I know that they're reworking PvP in 6.1, but my problem with that is the way that Final Fantasy plays, I don't know if it necessarily lends itself to being a PvP game. I might be wrong, right? It is possible that it turns into an incredible PvP game with the rework. We'd have to wait and see. Also, could it?
I don't think anything can, like, we joke about like WoW killing. Like, nothing's ever gonna kill WoW. WoW is not a game anymore, just a game anymore at this point. WoW is an industry, and there are people out there who are not gonna let it die. Like, look at the Microsoft deal and the amount of money just invested into that. WoW is too big of a financial investment and a financial gain to ever die. Like, the game's not gonna die. The game might be different, the game might have to be fixed, but these giants don't just disappear.
Could it be that Squeenix finally got their hands on people who actually hardcore PvP? Because that might be another problem. It might just be the fact that the vast majority of devs at Squeenix don't really play PvP games, and therefore it's always been sort of hard for them to figure out how to do PvP correctly, because if you don't do that type of content, you're obviously not going to like it, right? You're not going to be able to really make it that good. But overall, I think if you compare Final Fantasy pound for pound to every other game on the market, it is the more well-rounded.
It's more of a world. Ironically, if you compare it to World of Warcraft is called a world. But Final Fantasy is more of a world.
MMO. Like, it's the best well-rounded MMO out there. Just listening to players and their descriptions of all the things that you can do in endgame makes me think, how could you ever run out of fucking anything? Like, there's always going to be something for you to do. Right? No matter what, there's always going to be something that you look forward to doing when you log into Final Fantasy XIV. Which, I'll be honest, a part of me is scared as well, because I've only heard it, I've not really experienced it. But there is a part of me that's scared. Right now I'm having the time of my life questing through Final Fantasy. But what happens if I get to endgame and I don't find an endgame that I'm actually excited about or actually like? Now, part of that fears have been subverted slightly because I weaved a couple of weeks ago, like more than a couple, let's say 4 weeks ago, a month ago, but over a month ago maybe. I was doing weaving, and for the first time in my life, I enjoyed a profession. I actually enjoyed it. I ended up weaving on Discord. I was literally on Discord, sitting there chatting to viewers, and I think I ended up weaving for close to 6 hours. Just weaving. trying to figure out what the hell this is. Maybe that's what I'll do at the end game if I can't find anything else that I like.
That is endgame.
Who knows?
That is endgame. It was I think the only reason why this is possible for Final Fantasy is because all of these people who say greed bad kind of stand corrected by what they've done, like what Yoshipi and the dev team have done. Greed good in this case, because they were absolutely greedy with trying to satisfy so many people. And now you have all these different people with different backgrounds, with different interests, all just gathering around the same places, meeting each other, talking to each other, making friends, and participating in the community. So it's no longer just up to them to make a good game. It's up to the community to be a good community so that even more people would join the game. And luckily, they've been keeping the community so happy with content. Not luckily, it's not luck, it's work. They've been keeping the community so happy that the community in return is largely and mostly nice to other members of the community, making it just a really good experience.